Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we're going to be doing some more Bitcoin technical analysis, and more specifically, we're going to be doing technical analysis on just about every single time frame, guys. I have things I want to show you down here on the 5-minute chart. I have some longer term patterns I want to show you here on the hourly chart that I think are potentially going to lead to a bullish breakout that could allow Bitcoin to rally back to $14,000 over the next week or so, and I also want to look at some longer term things. So guys, we have a lot that we want to dive into in today's video. I think you're going to get a whole lot of value out of this video. Apologies for there not being a video go up yesterday, and I just really needed a break. It was the day after 4th of July, and I had a little fun on the 4th of July, so I decided to take a day off, and it's really strange. Whenever I take a day off, I just feel completely empty. It's like making a video in the morning has become a part of my soul. It's become a part of my human being. So that's a good thing, and I'm glad we're back. So guys, without much further ado, we're going to dive right on into it. I do want to remind you that we are still running the sale on the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy, since I wasn't here to bug you about it yesterday. Links in the description, $40 off coupon code July 2019 down there below. Anyway, guys, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. Any hoosers, guys, as always, let's start here with the shorter term time frame and work our way up to the longer term stuff. We're here on the 5-minute chart, and of course, it's kind of weird for me to be looking at the 5-minute chart when this video is going to be going out relatively soon, but this is actually quite a long-term pattern right here. This level of around $11,470 has proven to be a very important level of support and resistance for quite some time now, guys. Bitcoin first got resistance over here, we got support over here, resistance, support, we broke through, resistance, we broke through, resistance, and now we're testing resistance on it again. I would wager that this is probably one of the most significant levels of support and resistance that Bitcoin is facing at the moment, and that it has been facing for the last couple of weeks. And as we can see right now, guys, Bitcoin is testing this over and over and over again. Remember what I say, whenever Bitcoin or a cryptocurrency, or any market for that matter, goes up and tests a level of resistance half a dozen times, 7, 8, 9 times. When it's doing that, what it's signaling to you is that it wants to break through that level of resistance or support in the inverse. It wants to get through that level of resistance and continue rallying. Because guys, think about it this way. If the bulls weren't eventually going to get through this level of resistance, then where are they finding the strength to test this level of resistance an uncountable number of times? Uncountable because how do you define this? 1 test, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I mean, you could count as many as 12 tests on this level of resistance. Bitcoin is trying to get through $11,470, and when you see something like this happen, the market will normally respond to it, and Bitcoin will normally get through it. Which, because we've already been here for like 12 hours, and this is mainly like a 5 to 15 minute chart phenomenon going on, this is probably going to see a bullish breakout within the next 12 hours. Probably a lot quicker than that. I want to clarify, when I say bullish breakout, I'm not talking about a massive rally here. I'm just saying that Bitcoin's probably going to move up to like 11.7 or 11.8 or something up here, getting closer to this level of resistance, or a downtrend of resistance that we're going to be talking about in the slightly longer term technical analysis that we're going to be diving into here in a minute. But guys, while we're down here on the 15-minute chart at the moment, there is something interesting I want to show you having to do with MACD, because this is actually how all oscillators work, and this is something that you don't see happen in a market very often, because typically markets don't just trade sideways for this long like Bitcoin has here on the 15-minute chart. This is a lot of sideways trading price action, so what you might expect is for Bitcoin to start going into a bearish trend or a bullish trend. If you don't really know how MACD works very well, it might confuse you. Which direction is MACD supposed to go when it's just when Bitcoin's just trading sideways like this? Well, guys, just like all other oscillators, MACD being one of them, whenever there is sideways trading, MACD will eventually just default back down to the center level on the histogram. As you can see here, guys, Bitcoin was trading sideways, so MACD started going bearish, or started moving to the downside, excuse me, not bearish. We have to pick our words very carefully here. Started moving to the downside towards the histogram, and actually has come down here and leveled out around it. If the MACD was sitting down here, then MACD would have started curving up here towards the 0 level. Whenever there's not a whole lot going on the price action, a market will normally reset and start moving the MACD and the RSI and the stochastic RSI, actually not so much the stochastic RSI, but especially the RSI and the MACD towards that center line. All right, moving on here, guys. There's not a whole lot more I wanted to discuss on the short term, but what we're about to talk about will actually be relevant on the short term as well. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Guys, we've been looking at all these different patterns on Bitcoin for the last couple of weeks. Bitcoin, of course, had this consolidation pattern. It broke a bullish all the way up to 14K. You remember we were live streaming over here, and Bitcoin jumped off the metaphorical cliff. Then we had this downtrend, uptrend, uptrend, downtrend, uptrend, blah, 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 blah. I think what we've been missing was a longer term way of defining what this market is doing. And we did kind of have have this with this bearish trading channel right here, with this descending trading channel. We did have that, but I think we need something a little bit larger. We need something a little bit more climactic to go ahead and force us to actually have either a breakout to the upside or a breakout to the downside. And what I'm looking at right now has to do with this. If we go ahead and draw a trend line right here connecting this high over here at around $12,400 to these highs over here around $12,000 flat, and then we draw an uptrend right here, then lo and behold, what we find is that Bitcoin actually finds itself in a pretty longer term consolidation pattern compared to what we've seen recently. As we can see, it's actually going to be ending relatively soon, and that's why this little breakout that I was talking about, the slightly longer term technical analysis that we're now doing is going to be relevant for this, because if Bitcoin does break $11,470 and change or so here, we're probably going to come up here to this downtrend of resistance. This is where I would expect Bitcoin to have resistance, right around that $11,700 to $11,800 mark that I mentioned earlier. By the way, yes, that is why I said those two numbers, and I didn't just pull those out of a hat. Bitcoin is probably going to come up here and test this level of resistance again. But from there, is Bitcoin going to break bullish or is it going to break bearish? Because as you guys know, I like to look for major turning points, major decision points as I call them in a market, to see what the market is going to do. And this is most certainly one of them. Bitcoin, I think, is very obviously, when you see the signs, in a consolidation pattern right here. And whether or not we break bullish out of it or bearish out of it is going to have lasting ramifications on the market for the next couple of weeks. So let's talk about that, guys. Which direction should Bitcoin actually end up breaking here? Are we going bullish and are we going back to $14,000, or are we going to go bearish? Well, guys, I'll go ahead and put my cards on the table right here at the outset. I think Bitcoin is probably going to break bullish out of this, and I think there's a decent chance of that. And I also think that no matter what happens, it's going to be very decisive for Bitcoin, and I also think that no matter what happens, there's a large amount of money to be made in this, because this is a much longer term pattern than some of these other patterns we've been looking at, guys. This pattern has been going on since the 28th of June. Bitcoin has been in this consolidation pattern for quite some time, and I think that people are going to start waking up to this pattern over the next 24 to 48 hours or so as we come in towards the end of it, because whichever direction Bitcoin breaks, we've been in this pattern for long enough, and Bitcoin's been losing its momentum and in this tightening pattern for long enough that I think there's tension building in the market. Even if it breaks bullish, there's a lot of room to make profit here. If it breaks bearish, same thing, there's a lot of room to make profit here. Just trade the breakout, guys. Never put the trade in before the breakout actually happens. But as far as the bullish or the bearish side of this, guys, let's go ahead and look at our much longer term rally. Bitcoin, as we know, has rallied from base to top about 330%. We had a gigantic rally. I think no one's arguing on that. What we haven't had is a gigantic pullback. What we have had, in fact, is about a 30% pullback. In 2017, normally we'd see about a 40% pullback. That's not the end of the world. I'm not necessarily saying that we need a much larger pullback because we've had such a massive rally and we've only had a 30% correction. It's funny saying only a 30% correction because that is deep into bear market territory in just about any other market. But this is Bitcoin, guys. We are the black sheep of the family, and Bitcoin doesn't necessarily need a gigantic pullback. That is something you need to keep in mind, though, is that there is more room for Bitcoin to pull back if we do move to the downside. This might not be a permanent bottom down here. We may see Bitcoin go below 9.6. Do I think it's going to happen? At this point, probably not. But it is possible. Keep that in mind. You never want to disregard the bearish scenario just because you are on the side of the bulls and because you want to make money. So guys, while there is an argument to be made for the bears, I am personally going to throw my hat in with the bulls. I think we're going to break bullish here, and I think we're going to see at least the beginning of a new rally. I'm not saying that we're going to shoot straight through the moon because I don't think there's that much tension. I don't think there's that much exuberance, but I do think we are at least slowly going to break bullish here and come test $12,000. What we need to do now that we've set a higher low, because by the way, we have had a higher low, that's a very important first step for the bulls. Now that we've set a higher low, what we need instead is to set a higher high. What Bitcoin needs to do is it needs to set a high up here above $12,000, and a level of resistance it could be looking at is up here at around $12,200. If Bitcoin can break bullish here and rally to somewhere in this zone right here, move up and test this zone of resistance and get through at least the bottom of it, then Bitcoin has a fighting chance of restarting the rally and continuing back on to $14,000 and probably on up to and beyond $20,000 by the end of the year. But to do that, the first step that Bitcoin needs to take is it needs to break bullish out of this consolidation pattern, and it needs to break $12,000. Those are the two steps it has to take. And guys, like I said, I think that's what Bitcoin is going to do. I think Bitcoin is actually going to break bullish here and rally to 12,000 and beyond. But the first thing that we're going to have to see, like I said, is the bullish breakout. So what's the likelihood that we see the bullish breakout? Well, guys, there's a couple reasons why I would say that I think we're going to go bullish. One of which has been staring you in the face this entire time. Guys, I know we're in a bull market and head and shoulders patterns don't always play out the same way that they might in a bear market. But guess what this is? this, guys, is an inverse head and shoulders pattern, and that's just not something I can ignore. We have a pretty well-defined neckline right here, a slightly uptrending neckline. We have our head down here, and Bitcoin is obviously facing in the same direction. If you want to put a price target on this, one of the easiest ways to put a price target on this would just be say, we're going to go right back to where it started, but you can also draw a price target somewhat like this on the neckline, albeit this is kind of an ugly head and shoulders pattern, but it is a head and shoulders pattern, and that gives us a price target up here around, not around $19,000, around $14,000. So Bitcoin does have an inverse head and shoulders pattern. We have seen a lot of the bearishness that I think is going to actually play out having been played out. The bears have had their time. People have had time to take profits. I think now it's time for us to start rallying again. Guys, if Bitcoin was going to go any lower, I think we would have done it already. If we come out here to the daily chart and we bring up our 20 exponential moving average, we have a whole video on this exponential moving average in the course because it's such an important technical indicator. We saw Bitcoin come down here for a couple of days and test this 20 exponential moving average. And for a while, it looked like Bitcoin was going to close some daily candles below it, and then we were going to see more bearish price action that might bring us down to $9,000 or $8,000. But instead, what Bitcoin did is, because in part, I would say, that we were testing this 20 EMA, Bitcoin bounced and managed to close both of these candlesticks above the 20 exponential moving average, as opposed to what we did over here, where we actually fell below it. That is a very bullish thing and something I don't see a lot of people talking about. It's very important to keep your eye on the 20 exponential moving average, because if we fall below it on the daily chart, we are no longer in a rally, we are now in a downtrend. And instead of falling into a downtrend, what we've done is we managed to bounce off of it and continue at least trying to move to the upside. So the fact that Bitcoin hasn't totally capitulated and ended the rally, technically, guys, the rally has never ended because we're not below the 20 EMA. Because of that and all the other things that we've said in today's video, I think there's a more than likely chance that we're going to break bullish out of this consolidation pattern. But before we wrap that up, I do need to add one caveat, and that is that these consolidation patterns are oftentimes not actually going to be dictated by technical analysis. Oftentimes you'll see a bull or a bear whale come in and buy or sell a lot of Bitcoin and push Bitcoin briefly above or below one of these levels of support or resistance. And when it does that, that weakens that level of support or resistance dramatically and greatly increases the chance that you actually break that level of support or resistance. Especially now that we're over 80% of the way through this consolidation pattern. If we take this all the way back here and we measure this, that's about 9 days, 7 hours. We're already about 7.5 days through this. We're about 80% plus through the way of this consolidation pattern. As you get closer towards the tip over here, randomness comes into play quite a bit, because all these random spikes in here, all of this noise in here, technical analysis wasn't really predicting too much of that, and it wasn't really stuff that you would be looking at even if you were able to predict it. A lot of that just comes from randomness. So as you get closer in here, it's much easier for Bitcoin to just randomly spike up and break either level of support or resistance. So you have to keep that in mind. That's why I say never trade the breakout before the breakout comes. Never buy Bitcoin or short Bitcoin. Open a position while Bitcoin is still in the consolidation pattern. Wait for the breakout, catch the breakout, trade the breakout, profit from the breakout. Guys, it's pretty simple. I think you guys get the point. I think Bitcoin's going to break to the upside, but I do want to add that caveat that even though the technical analysis, I think, says it's going to break to the upside, sometimes Bitcoin won't do exactly what the technical analysis does, what the technical analysis says, and believe it or not, that is actually a very important part of technical analysis, is knowing when technical analysis is not valid, or that you need to step back and take another look at it through another pair of lenses. But anyway, guys, speaking of looking at things through another pair of lenses, starting tomorrow, I am going to be gone for 10 days. I'm actually getting on a flight at like 5 in the morning to fly out to Colorado. I'm going to see a friend of mine. That friend of mine is watching this video, I know, because she is editing this video. Hello, Taylor. Say thank you to Taylor in the comment section. She's doing a wonderful job. I'm going to go see her for a little while. We're going to do some business out there. I need to finish training her. And then I'm going to be flying back to Florence, Florence, Alabama, and I'm going to be seeing my family over there. And if you're in town, maybe I'll say hi to you. And then I'm going to be flying back. I'll be back on the 17th. Videos will be going live. I just went and bought a laptop because, believe it or not, I didn't actually own a laptop prior to that, and I'm going to be making videos while I'm away, so there will be videos. There's not going to be a 10-day hiatus on the channel or anything, but I am going to be gone, and it is going to be very refreshing for me. I think it's going to do great things for me personally and also for the business at large, because having myself be able to step back and do that will be very, very beneficial for me. Anyway, guys, that is pretty much going to wrap it up for today's video, unfortunately. I do love making these videos. Yesterday proved that to me, and that I feel very empty when I'm not doing it. But like I said, guys, before we wrap the video up, I do want to remind you that we are still running the sale on the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy, since I wasn't here to pester you about it yesterday. In the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy, or CT2A because, like I say, Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy is a bit of a mouthful. We have 33 videos, over 9 hours of content where I teach you everything you need to know about trading Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Everything you need to know to learn how to work in these markets, analyze these markets, and like I also say, most importantly, profit in these markets. We have the very basic introductory stuff like how to set up and use TradingView and Binance, and this video will be getting updated because of the things going on with Binance. We have the very simple stuff like how to read candlestick charts for the uninitiated. All this stuff is just, I don't even factor this into the pricing actually, because all this is just stuff to help the uninitiated. Where the pricing comes in is the technical analysis portion down here. We do have our technical indicator section here where I go over all the technical indicators. If I ever mention a technical indicator in the videos, it is going to be here. These are the ones that we use. A couple more will be coming out as more videos in the technical analysis portion come out. But down here is where the actual meat and potatoes of the course is. We talk about a game of statistics and probabilities, risk and reward, how to plan and execute profitable trades. These are very important lessons that you're not going to learn anywhere else, especially not for free. Maybe if you're buying another course, you will learn some of these things, but honestly, I haven't seen another cryptocurrency course that talks about hardly any of this stuff. They talk about how to trade. Of course, I added this because someone wanted me to, but risk and reward, a game of statistical and probabilistic analysis of Bitcoin, math psychology, gut feeling. This is one of my favorite videos in the entire course. This is stuff that you need to know that I don't see anyone teaching. They're certainly not talking about it on YouTube. I don't talk about it on YouTube because it's just not really, they're not really topics that manage to work their way into videos. And because they don't work their way into my videos, I also notice that they don't work their way into anyone else's videos. So they kind of go unsaid, and you guys still need to know them even though we don't talk about them here on YouTube. This is the kind of stuff that you're not necessarily going to find on your own through watching YouTube. You need to either find it through a lot of experience. Guys, I've been trading these markets and analyzing these markets a lot. I analyze these markets every single day, and I have for the last 2 years or so, and I've been trading in these markets a lot. I know what I'm talking about, and it's because I know what I'm talking about that we've had nearly 700 people go through the course, and every single one of them, if they tell me anything about the course, they tell me good things about the course. They tell me that the course has helped them become profitable. They tell me that the course has helped them to understand the actual market, how it moves, that it's not always just manipulation when the market doesn't do something that you think it's going to, and it helps them to understand how to profit in these markets, which at the end of the day is the end goal here, is how to actually make money in these markets. So guys, if you're at all interested, check the link in the description, and if you do find yourself wanting to sign up for the course, you can use the coupon code July2019 to get $40 off at checkout. Anyway guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's video. I do want to thank each and every single one of you for watching, and each and every single one of you who purchased the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy as well. You guys paid for this entire trip and the computer that's sitting in front of me and a lot of things. The course has managed to allow me to hire staff, has managed to allow me to grow the business and invest in Bitcoin and do all these things that I was doing anyway, but it's helped to do it even more. So thank you guys who are in CT2A. If you want to support me, that's another way you can do it, is through CT2A. But like I said anyway, guys, that is going to do it for today's video. I do want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.